Hello everyone, this is Kristen McPhee of Kristen McPhee Nutrition and Herbs, and I'm a nutritionist and clinical herbalist practitioner in Marquette, Michigan. And I wanted to spend a few moments today just talking about ways that we can support children who have acute asthma. So we know that acute asthma occurs in 3 to 8% of the population, and it's definitely more common in boys and more common in children. So that's why I wanted to focus on childhood asthma today specifically. So with the time that I have with you, I wanted to address the top 5 reasons why asthma is occurring in the first place in the child. So getting to the underlying cause instead of masking the symptoms. And then the top 5 dietary recommendations I would have, and the top 5 supplements I would recommend, as well as the top 5 things that a practitioner can do for you if you choose to navigate this process with an integrative practitioner. Okay, so the first reason why asthma may be expressing itself in the first place is that their immune system may be stressed from something that's in their environment. Most children who have asthma are have an immune system that's Th2 dominant, and that can be a cause of molds, heavy metals, viruses, or pollution. The second one is food additives, so dyes and preservatives. You want to see if they're consuming high amounts of either of those or both. Those can constrict airways and they can inhibit B6 metabolism. The next one is genetic manipulation of plants. So if they're consuming a high amount of GMO foods in their diet, that can add additional oxidative stress on their body, which can lead to a glutathione deficiency, which can lead to an increased need of antioxidants. And if they're not consuming enough vegetables and fruits, then they're likely deficient in antioxidants as well. The other reason is they may not have been breastfed for very long, and that can increase the risk of asthma. Children who are breastfed for 12 months have a 1% risk of developing asthma. If they've been vaccinated, then they have a 3% risk. And if they've been vaccinated and one of those vaccines was pertussis, then they have an 11% risk. So breastfeeding long term can help. I kind of went on a side track and addressed vaccines, but I hope that that's okay. And then the final one is if they have a history of allergies and eczema, then that will make them 3 to 4 times more likely to develop asthma. Of course, we want to ask, well, why did they develop those symptoms in the first place, which would lead to more detective work on getting to the underlying cause. So here are my top 5 dietary recommendations. The first one is to reduce the amount of meat, eggs, and vegetable oils in their diet. And that's because nearly all Americans are consuming far too many omega-6 sources of food, such as the ones I just mentioned, and not enough omega-3s. So they have an imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3s, but in asthmatics specifically, they have an imbalance of arachidonic acid metabolism. So their bodies are even more prone to produce more arachidonic acid, which causes systemic inflammation in the body. And there was a long-term clinical study where participants followed a vegan diet for a year, and 92% of those participants saw significant improvement in their symptoms. So that's kind of interesting because the one thing that a vegan diet, is implying is that they are eliminating a lot of the foods that produce arachidonic acid. So reducing those can significantly help with asthma. The second one is increasing fruits and vegetables because they're very high in antioxidants, and that can support respiratory health. Garlic and onions in particular are really wonderful because they can help kind of down-regulate some of that arachidonic acid that asthmatics are more prone to. And then increasing fish can help balance that omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Fish is very high in omega-3s. It's also they're very potent anti-inflammatories naturally. And children who eat fish more than one time per week have a 1/3 the risk of developing asthma. So adding fish into their diet, adding like probiotic and fermented foods would all be good to support gut health, which in turn supports the immune health. Also, if a child was given antibiotics before the age of 1, then they're 2 times more likely to develop asthma. And if they were given subsequent doses, that risk increases by 16% each time. So there's a strong linkage between gut health and atopic conditions such as asthma, but also allergies and eczema. You could increase B6 through diet as well, and that's because asthmatic children typically do not metabolize tryptophan very well, and that can cause an increase in serotonin, which is a bronchoconstrictor, and the best way to support that is by supplementing or consuming B6. Foods that are high in B6 would be things like sweet potatoes, spinach, pistachios, blackstrap molasses, avocado, pinto beans, and sunflower and sesame seeds. So those are my top 5 dietary recommendations. Here are the supplements. Now, I wouldn't really go gung-ho on integrating supplements into a child's routine until after you've really given a concerted effort with what's in their environment and what's in their diet, and aligning their diet to support their body in achieving balance. Nevertheless, here are my recommendations. The first one's vitamin C, which prevents histamine secretion and increases histamine detox. So that's really wonderful, and we all know vitamin C helps support our immune systems. The second one's magnesium. Most of us are deficient in magnesium, and magnesium improves respiratory function and antioxidant status, so if they're deficient in glutathione, magnesium can support that. If they increase their vegetable intake, especially with leafy greens, they're going to get magnesium that way. Magnesium is also present in some probiotic foods like yogurt, and it's also present in vegetarian protein sources such as beans, nuts, and seeds. If you're going to supplement, magnesium citrate is okay. It can loosen the stools, which not all of us need. And then the best source is magnesium glycinate. And then vitamin D may be something to consider too. Let's see, 35% of asthmatic children were found to be deficient in vitamin D. And that also, to me, kind of points to the hygiene hypothesis, where if a child is low in vitamin D, particularly in the warmer months, then they may just not be spending enough time in nature. So they need to be out getting some sunlight, and that can help. And then if you're really struggling with getting sufficient omega-3s in through the diet, then a supplement may be needed there too, such as a fish oil with EPA and DHA would be really wonderful. And flaxseed oil is good too. And then a probiotic would be something to consider just because of the strong correlation with gut health and immune health and how that can affect atopic conditions. Now, the practitioner's role, I'll give you the top 5 things that a practitioner can assist with. So the first one is just providing their expertise in an objective way, and helping to assess the individual case or child's case from a holistic perspective. I think that can be really helpful to have someone who can kind of work with you as a team and to navigate this process. And I think the next one would be testing. So you may want to consider food allergy or food sensitivity testing, as well as an essential fatty acid panel. I can do that, and also likely other integrative practitioners can too. As a nutritionist, I would establish an elimination diet, and how to do that with a child or to have the whole family involved can be something you may want help with. The most common allergens for children are dairy, gluten, eggs, food additives, and peanuts, but it could also be corn, soy, fish, shellfish, nuts, chocolate, citrus, and sugar. So navigating it, implementing an elimination diet, I think, is key and probably one of the most profound things you could do for a child with asthma. And they may have signs that they need some gut help and restoring the gut optimally. You need to see a practitioner for that. And studies have found that 80% of asthmatic children have inadequate HCl, hypochlorhydria. And so that can often point to other issues surrounding the gut. Children can have things just like adults, such as candida overgrowth. They can have leaky gut. And you want to catch those things early. And as a nutritionist and herbalist, I know that the gut is a really complex thing, but it's so easy to heal and repair, and so many people suffer from just that alone. So I think definitely work with a practitioner on that, and then just move on, like get it done and heal. And then the fifth one is just guidance with herbs and supplements. So as a clinical herbalist, I'm trained to custom formulate herbs for the individual. And I can do that as a long-term tonic for the respiratory system and immune system. And I can also custom formulate things that would help manage symptoms if they're acute enough. They can be managed with herbs. And then just with supplements, helping to determine which ones are really needed, if any, what the appropriate dosage is for a child, what time of day to take them, and all of that. Oh, and identifying high quality products. So those are my top tips. I hope that that's helpful. I think the general recommendations are a good way to get started. And then if you want like customized individual support, reach out to me or another integrative practitioner that you trust. So thank you. Bye.